Welcome to BL Stories, where romance, drama, and unforgettable boys' love come to life. Love knows no limits, and the best stories aren't always straight. Subscribe now and join our growing BL-loving family. Back to Lucas' POV. It was early morning when I finally started to feel like myself again. Well, mostly. Alex and my dad explained how I'd woken up after surgery, something I vaguely remembered, and how I suddenly had a seizure not long after. I didn't remember that part at all, which made it even more shocking. I'd never had one before. I've witnessed one in the past, and it was terrifying, so the thought of my dad, my best friend, and my boyfriend seeing me like that really hurt. They also told me that after the seizure, when I came to again, I seemed confused and not entirely present before falling back asleep. Again, no memory of that. Amy had left shortly after I drifted off. Now it was midday. I was sitting alone in the hospital room, watching TV. Alex had gone to check on things at the company, and Dad had left to pick up some clothes, pajamas, and essentials for me from home. I didn't have my phone either. I was pretty sure I left it at the restaurant. A couple of hours passed in silence, until the door opened and Alex walked in, smiling brightly. "How are you feeling today?" he asked, sitting beside me on the hospital bed. "Better, but it still hurts," I said, gently pressing my hand to my stomach. The pain from the stab wound was still there, dull but lingering. Alex nodded sympathetically and reached into a plastic bag he'd brought with him. He pulled out a box wrapped in colorful paper and handed it to me. I frowned, confused. "What's this?" I peeled off the wrapping paper and my eyes widened. "Alex, no. I can't accept this," I started. "I broke your other one, remember? I figured you could use a new one," he said with a small smile, nodding at the brand new iPhone in my hand. I sighed, feeling a mix of gratitude and guilt. "Thank you," I said softly, my smile uncertain. I pulled him into a hug and then gave him a quick kiss. A few minutes later, Dad walked in holding a bag full of my stuff. "What's that?" he asked, frowning as he pointed at the phone. "It's a phone, Dad," I replied, smirking playfully. He raised an eyebrow. "No, I mean, where did that come from? Did you buy him that?" he asked, looking at Alex. Alex nodded with a grin. "What did you do that for?" Dad asked, a mix of a smile and a scolding tone on his face. "I accidentally broke his old one, so I thought I'd replace it. Just wanted to cheer him up a bit," Alex explained. "He could have just paid to fix the screen, but hey, no complaints here." Before Dad could say anything else, there was a knock on the door. A nurse peeked in, looking slightly awkward. "The police are asking for Lucas again. Would you like me to bring them in, or should I ask them to wait?" she asked. "Tell them to leave," Dad began. "No, it's okay. Let them in," I interrupted. "They're just doing their job and I'd like to get this over with." She nodded and returned a minute later with 2 officers. "Good afternoon, Lucas. Are you doing all right?" one of them asked kindly. "Not really," I replied honestly, though I managed a polite smile. "But thank you." The officer nodded and continued. "We wanted to let you know that the knife found didn't have any usable fingerprints, unfortunately, which makes things more difficult." I sighed. Of course it wasn't going to be that easy. "We do have officers checking the CCTV footage near the restaurant to see if anyone followed you into the alley," he added. That gave me a bit of hope. "That's good. We could really use your help though. Do you remember what the person looked like?" I thought for a moment, then nodded. He was a man. Had tan skin, like mine. I think his eyes were brown and maybe short hair, but he had his hood up, so I'm not completely sure. He was taller than me and dressed all in black. That's all I remember. "That's actually helpful. Thank you," the officer said. "Do you recall which direction he ran after the incident?" I closed my eyes, trying to replay everything in my mind. It was tough. Most of what I remembered was the pain and confusion. "Okay, so, he led me down the alleyway, then pulled me around a left corner. That's where it happened. Afterward, he ran down the alleyway on the right. I think that's how it went," I said slowly. "All right, we'll check the footage around that area as well." "Thanks. Also," I added, "I'm not completely sure, but I have a feeling I know who might have been behind this. A few days ago, I was attacked at work. That guy was arrested. And when the one who hurt me this time left, he said something like, "You've messed with the wrong people." I don't really have any enemies, except maybe that one guy. So I think they might be connected. The officer frowned. We'll definitely look into that. They asked a few more questions, then thanked me and left. Once they were gone, my dad turned toward me with a serious expression. "You were attacked at work? Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice laced with frustration and concern. I shrugged. "I don't know, there was just a lot going on in my head." Later, Dad stepped out to grab something from the cafe downstairs. I stayed in bed, sitting beside Alex, quietly grateful for the people still here beside me. Lucas POV. "Alex," I began, and he gave me a curious look. "I really need to use the bathroom." Alex raised an eyebrow like he was silently asking, "Why are you telling me this?" So I clarified. "I can't walk properly on my own yet. I need your help." "Don't you still have a catheter in?" he asked, slightly frowning. "Nope. I asked them to take it out a while ago. The nurse wasn't thrilled about it because I'm still weak on my feet, but honestly, it was uncomfortable. I didn't want to keep it in any longer than I had to." Alex gave a small, awkward nod, then helped me out of bed and carefully walked me into the bathroom. Once there, he waited near the door as I glanced back at him. "Look away," I told him, my tone playful. "You're not allowed to see anything yet." He frowned in confusion. "What?" "Just look away." I insisted. Okay, he chuckled, turning his head. I smirked. "Glad to know you're listening." He let out a quiet laugh, still holding on to me to keep me steady. After I was done, Alex helped me back into bed, just in time for my dad to walk in with a bag of snacks. He returned to his seat while Alex settled at the end of my bed. A few uneventful hours passed. I set up my new phone, then Alex and my dad said their goodbyes as visiting hours ended. Alone again, I sat in that quiet, sterile room watching some boring TV show, until my phone lit up with a FaceTime call from Alex. I smiled and quickly answered. "Hey," he said cheerfully. "Hey," I grinned, immediately feeling better seeing his face on my screen. "Seriously, I'm such a softie sometimes." "You alright?" he asked, smiling warmly. "I was bored," I admitted, "but now that you're here, not anymore." Alex's smile deepened. "I'll come visit early in the morning. What time do you think you'll be awake?" "Probably around 9. I never really sleep well here." "Alright, I'll be there by 10 then." There was a pause before he added, "You should be getting out of there soon, right?" I nodded. "Yeah. The doctor said if things look good tomorrow, I might be discharged in the evening." "Good," Alex said with a relieved smile. We kept talking until almost 10 p.m., losing track of time in our conversation. I finally fell asleep around 11 after a lot of tossing and turning. The next morning, I was woken by a nurse bringing in my breakfast. "What time is it?" I mumbled, rubbing my eyes. "Almost 10. I'm supposed to bring your food earlier, but I figured you could use the sleep. You were on the phone pretty late," she said with a knowing smile as she set the tray down. My eyes widened and she chuckled. "I'm often right outside your room doing paperwork. Let's just say you're not the quietest," she teased. I gave a sheepish grin. "I'm not really supposed to let phone calls go that long, but I know it gets lonely in here. Let's keep it between us, okay?" Before I could reply, Alex walked into the room. He greeted the nurse with a polite nod and sat beside me. "Morning," he said. "Morning," I replied, my voice muffled slightly as I took a bite of food. The nurse smiled and left us alone. Alex had the day off, so we spent the morning together. It gave Dad a chance to catch up on sleep, which he really needed after staying by my side for the last few days. Around 2 in the afternoon, a doctor came in to speak with us. "You're recovering well," he said. "We'll discharge you around 5 or 6 today." I nodded, hopeful. "There are just a few things we need to go over," he continued. "We'll send you home with some medication, twice a day, to prevent infection and manage the pain. You can also take over-the-counter options like paracetamol if needed." I nodded again, having expected that. "Is there anything else?" I asked. "Yes," the doctor said, glancing between me and Alex. "You two are in a relationship, correct?" We both nodded. "Then you'll need to avoid any physical intimacy for at least 2 weeks. Any strain on your abdomen could risk tearing your stitches. I'm sure you both understand how important that is." Alex nodded quickly. "Of course." In my head, I couldn't help but think, okay, 2 weeks isn't that bad. I thought he'd say 6. "There's one more thing," the doctor added gently. "You may not feel it now, but it's very common to develop anxiety or fear after a traumatic incident. Once you're out in public again, the feelings might hit you unexpectedly. We can arrange for you to speak with someone if you need help processing it." I gave a small nod, my chest tightening just a little. It was a lot to take in. After the doctor left, I looked at Alex and smirked. He gave me a suspicious look. "What?" he asked. "Well," I said playfully, "he didn't say you had to avoid anything." He frowned, then caught on. "Lucas," he sighed, trying not to smile. "That's the last thing on my mind right now." "Really? The last thing?" I teased. "Okay, maybe not the last," he admitted, grinning now, "but definitely not the first." We both laughed, and after that, we passed the time just chatting about random stuff. By 5, Dad returned, and I began getting ready to leave. Alex helped me change into a soft t-shirt and some loose-fitting joggers that wouldn't press on my stitches. After signing a few discharge papers and getting final instructions from the doctor, I finally left the hospital, Dad on one side, Alex on the other, both helping me walk slowly to the car. For the first time in days, I felt a little more like myself. And even though I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, I wasn't facing it alone. That night when we got home, Alex and my dad practically carried me inside. They spent the rest of the evening helping me around the house and making sure I was comfortable. When it got late, I asked Dad if Alex could stay over, and he said yes. That meant Alex got to sleep in my bed that night. And honestly, that was the best thing that had happened in days. Of course, the downside was that Alex insisted I rest. No funny business, just sleep. I pouted a little, but I understood. He was just looking out for me. The next morning, I sat on the couch downstairs, wrapped in a blanket, eating ice cream while watching some random show on TV. Alex had gone to work, and Dad was upstairs doing whatever it is he does. I was left alone with my thoughts, mostly thinking about what I'd be doing if I hadn't been stabbed. Working, going out, spending time with Alex. Thankfully, Dad had told my boss what happened, so I didn't have to worry about explaining my absence. I was half expecting to get fired, considering the number of unexpected situations I'd landed in, but then again, I couldn't exactly control fainting or being attacked. So, that was one less thing to stress about. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my stomach. I immediately pressed my hand against it, trying to ease the discomfort, but it didn't help much. I leaned my head back, groaning quietly. After a few deep breaths, the pain dulled a little, but not enough to ignore. It had been like this most of the day. I'd take painkillers and they'd help for a while, but the pain always came back. Dad had warned me not to overuse them, and to make matters worse, the pills were in the kitchen, and I barely had the energy to walk that far. Just then, Dad came downstairs and saw my expression. "What's wrong?" he asked, frowning with concern. "It hurts again," I mumbled. "Could you please get me a painkiller?" Without hesitation, he nodded and disappeared into the kitchen, returning with a glass of water and the pill. I took it and leaned back again with a tired sigh. "Thanks," I said quietly. Dad nodded and took a seat on the sofa opposite me, opening his laptop. "You don't have to stay down here," I said. "You can work at your desk upstairs." But I knew exactly why he was staying. He wanted to be close, just in case anything happened. "It's fine," he replied simply, eyes on his screen. I sighed and went back to watching TV, knowing better than to argue. The rest of the day moved slowly, just me, snacks, and reruns. Honestly, not too different from my usual routine these days. The next day, I was in the kitchen with Dad, trying to walk on my own. It's not like I'd forgotten how to walk, but everything still ached. My legs felt wobbly from lack of use, and I had to pause now and then when the pain in my stomach would spike. "Do you think I could actually go outside today?" I asked. Dad hesitated, then shrugged. "It might be good for you." I remembered what the doctor said about possibly developing anxiety from the trauma, but I pushed that thought aside. I'd be fine. I had to be. There was a knock at the door. Dad went to answer it, but I stopped him. "I've got it," I said. My stomach twinged a little with each step, but I managed to open the door. And there stood Alex, smiling brightly. "Hey," he greeted. "Let's go out," I said immediately. "I need to get moving again." "But what about what the doctor said?" Alex asked gently. "What did the doctor say?" Dad asked, walking over. I let out a sigh and tilted my head back. Alex hesitated, then answered. He said Lucas might experience anxiety in public spaces or around crowds. I shot Alex a look. I didn't want my dad to know that part. But it was too late. "You didn't tell me that," Dad said, frowning. "I didn't want you to worry," I replied as I bent down, slowly putting on my shoes. "Plus, Alex will be with me, so I'll be fine." I grabbed my jacket, gave Dad a reassuring smile, and stepped out the door with Alex by my side. As we walked to Alex's car, he asked, "Where do you want to go?" "McDonald's," I said without hesitation. I could practically taste the nuggets and fries already. "McDonald's?" Alex raised an eyebrow. "Oh, right, forgot you're a fancy rich boy who doesn't do fast food," I teased, nudging him with a grin. He laughed. "Nah, it's fine. Let's go." When we got there, I felt a little nervous walking in. It was my first time being out in public since everything happened. Luckily, the place wasn't crowded. Just a few families scattered around. We ordered and sat down, and somewhere in the middle of eating, Alex told me it had been 6 years since he last had McDonald's. That blew my mind. As we continued eating, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my dad. "Dad, there are some reporters here asking if they can interview you. Want to do it, or should I tell them no?" I stared at the message, sighed, and thought about it. I figured, why not? If telling my story helps others and gives me a few minutes in the spotlight, then sure. Me? Tell them to wait. I'm eating, but I'll be home soon. I looked back up at Alex. "There are reporters at my house wanting to interview me about what happened." Alex paused mid-bite. "Are you going to do it?" I nodded. "Yeah, why not? They get their story, and maybe I get to be on TV for a day or two," I joked. Alex chuckled. "You want to go now?" I shook my head. "We'll go after you finish. I don't want to ruin your meal." But just as I said that, a large group of rowdy teens and a few adults walked in. My chest tightened instantly. They weren't coming toward me, but just their presence, loud and chaotic, made my whole body tense. They headed to the counter near where we were sitting. On second thought, I said, voice shaky, "Can we go?" Alex immediately picked up on my discomfort. He looked at the group, then back at me and gave a small nod. Without a word, he quickly finished the last of his fries, cleared our tray, and we made our way to the car. The image of that man attacking me had been haunting my dreams. Now, it was replaying in my mind over and over, making my heart race with every memory. "I asked if you were sure you wanted to go out," Alex said, his voice a blend of concern and slight frustration as we got into his car. I shrugged. "I thought I was." I didn't realize it would hit me like that. As Alex drove me back home, I started to calm down. Just being with him in the car made me feel safe. Soon we pulled up in front of my house. "You coming in?" "It's just a quick interview." "I won't be long," I offered. Alex hesitated, then shook his head. "And no, it's okay. I'll leave you to it." "I'll see you later," he said nervously, giving me a quick kiss before I got out. I frowned slightly, making sure he saw it. He gave me a small, unsure smile and drove off. I stood there for a moment, confused. Why was he so nervous? But when I stepped inside and saw the reporters waiting in the living room, it clicked. He didn't want to be seen with me, at least, not by the media. To be fair, I understood the fear. He was worried about our relationship being public. But people had already seen us together. Some even knew we were dating after the incident. And it wouldn't be long before Emily confirmed everything. The reporters smiled as I entered, and my dad gave me a reassuring nod. The interview was straightforward. I retold what had happened and answered a few questions as they jotted things down and recorded parts of it. Afterward, they thanked me and left. By tomorrow, I knew the story would probably be all over the news. The incident had already been mentioned, but without much detail. People told me they'd seen it, though I hadn't watched it myself. Our city wasn't exactly eventful, so something like this was big news. I sat down on the couch carefully, still feeling some pain in my side. I picked up my phone and texted Alex. "Me, interview's done. Why didn't you come in?" I already knew the answer, I just wanted to see if he'd admit it. "Alex, I've got a lot going on. You didn't really need me there." I scoffed quietly. "Me? Are you sure that's the real reason? Because I'm not." I locked my phone, but it immediately lit up with a call from Alex. I hesitated, then answered. "What's that supposed to mean?" he asked. "It means what I said. I don't think that's the real reason you left." There was a pause. "Well, what do you think the reason was?" His tone had shifted to frustration. "I don't know. That's why I'm asking." Alex sighed, clearly exasperated. "You know why. Or at least you can figure it out. I didn't want to be seen with you by reporters. If they saw me walking out of your house, there would be questions. Rumors. I can't risk that. Why don't you understand that?" I let the silence linger, his words settling in. "I do understand why you're worried," I said calmly. "But even if our relationship became public, I don't see why it has to be a big problem." "There are a lot of reasons it could be a problem," he muttered. "Look, Lucas, I don't want to talk about this right now." "Well, I do. Not over the phone." "Then I'll come to you." "No," he started, but I hung up before he could finish. I got up, grabbed my things, called a cab, and headed to his place. When I got there, I rang the doorbell a couple of times, just to annoy him a little. I can be petty like that. The door opened to reveal Alex, shirtless and clearly stressed. I smiled playfully. He sighed and stepped aside, waving me in. "If you came here just to keep arguing, don't." "I'm not in the mood," he said as we walked into the living room. I frowned. "Pretty sure you were doing more of the arguing than me." "Yeah, well," he trailed off with nothing useful to add. I sighed. "I didn't mean to fight. I'm just upset because you seem afraid to be seen with me. You knew this relationship would be complicated. You said yes anyway. And it's not like I haven't taken you out before." "Yeah, and the one time we did something romantic, I got stabbed," I said, raising an eyebrow. Alex winced. I saw the pain in his eyes, and I immediately regretted saying it. "Sorry," I muttered. "Lucas, I told you, I'm not in the mood for an argument," he said quietly, sitting down with a tired sigh. I stood for a moment, then slowly walked over and sat beside him. I glanced at him, his gaze distant, his body tense. "What's wrong?" I asked softly, taking his hand and intertwining our fingers. "I'm just stressed. I'm fine. Let's leave it." "Alex." I gently cupped his cheek and turned him to face me. I kissed him softly. He kissed me back and the kiss deepened. For a moment, it felt like everything else melted away. He leaned over me and I let my hands rest around his waist, but just as I was about to pull him closer, he pulled back. I paused, unsure, until I saw him reach into his pocket. "Sorry. My phone buzzed," he said, grabbing it and placing it on the coffee table. He moved closer again, but the screen lit up, catching his attention. His relaxed expression shifted to one of worry. "What is it?" I asked. "It's a message from Emily," he said slowly. I groaned. "Of course. She just sent one word, too. What does that even mean?" I leaned over and read the screen. Could be a time, 2 minutes, 2 hours, 2 days? Who knows? Until what? I looked at him. Until she posts that photo. Alex stared at me, his brows furrowed in concern. "This is bad," he whispered, eyes falling to the floor as anxiety swept over him. "Alex, it's all right. We'll figure it out," I began. "No, we can't just figure it out. She has the photo. If she posts it, everything could fall apart," Alex interrupted, his voice unsteady. I frowned slightly. "What exactly do you think she's going to ruin?" "For starters, my dad will lose it. I could lose business connections. It could really damage my career," he replied with a frustrated sigh. We don't know for sure that she's going to post it. 2 could mean anything. What else would she be referring to? Alex cut me off, his eyes filled with worry. I looked down, unsure of how to comfort him. After a pause, Alex spoke again. Maybe I should tell my family. At least my siblings, or maybe just Ollie, my brother, the one who's gay. He might understand. I nodded. They'd probably prefer hearing it from you rather than seeing it on social media. Yeah, he agreed. I'll tell Ollie. I might have to wake him up though. Wake him up? Where does he live? Sydney. Isn't it like 2 a.m. there? Alex shrugged. He's probably at a party. He'll be awake. As he picked up his laptop to FaceTime his brother, I stood up. I'll give you some space and grab a drink, I said, leaving the room. Alex's POV. Ollie answered quickly. Music and laughter filled the background before he stepped into a quieter room. Sorry, it's a bit wild in there. Hey, he said, sitting on a bed. Hey, I greeted. What's going on? He asked, concerned but casual. I need to tell you something, and I need your advice, I began. All right, shoot. I glanced toward the kitchen where Lucas was getting a drink, then looked back at my screen. I'm gay. Ollie stared at me, blinking as the words sank in. His eyes widened. Wait, seriously? Yeah. I mean it. He broke into a grin. I thought you had a girlfriend? That ended a while ago. So, you've got a boyfriend now? He asked, smirking. I smiled and called out, Lucas, come here. Lucas walked in with his drink and leaned over the back of the sofa so his head was level with mine. This is him, I said proudly. Ollie checked him out and nodded approvingly. Nice. You've done well. Lucas chuckled while I covered my face, already blushing. I would have been more excited if I hadn't just been stabbed, Lucas added with a laugh. I'm under strict doctor's orders to take it easy. Ollie's expression shifted to concern. Whoa, seriously? Are you okay? I'm healing, Lucas replied with a reassuring smile. The conversation moved along, and eventually Ollie asked, So what do you need advice about? Okay, you remember Emily? I asked. Your ex? Yeah. She caught Lucas and me kissing and took a picture. Now she's threatening to post it, and it could really hurt my image and my position at the company. Ollie frowned. Why does this affect your job? Because apparently, my being gay might damage the company's reputation. At least that's what Dad believes. Ollie's expression darkened. So that's why he didn't let me take over. I always wondered. I sighed, feeling guilt twist in my stomach. He shrugged. Whatever. It's better here in Australia anyway. Lucas climbed over the back of the couch to sit beside me as Ollie continued. You could get ahead of her. Come out publicly, beat her to it. If she posts it after, it'll just make her look bitter. Which, let's face it, she kind of is. I thought about it. Even if I did that, how would I do it in time? If 2 meant 2 hours, I don't have long. You don't need a huge announcement. A simple post on social media might be enough, Ollie offered. Just then, someone burst into Ollie's room. Oi, what are you doing? You're missing everything. Ollie smiled. I'm talking to my brother. He just came out. The new guy flopped down next to Ollie and gasped dramatically. Seriously? Congrats. Lucas, meet my boyfriend, Matt. Lucas and Matt exchanged greetings. Matt waved at me and Ollie quickly filled him in. After that, they got ready to head back to the party. Alright, we've got to go. Good luck with everything, bro, love you. Love you too, I said as the call ended. I closed my laptop and sighed. Well, that was kind of pointless, I muttered, rubbing my eyes. It wasn't. You told him. That's a big deal, Lucas said gently. I nodded. So, what do I do now? Lucas paused. Honestly? Ollie's right. You should tell people yourself before Emily does. But how? I don't have time for something elaborate. Lucas grinned. Aren't you supposed to be the smart one? I didn't respond, just sighed again. Maybe a social media post would work. But before that, I looked at Lucas. I think I need to fire her. Sounds like a plan, Lucas said. She deserves the consequences. I grabbed my business phone, took a deep breath, and made the call. I need you to let Emily J. go. Send her final payment and notify her she's been terminated. I hung up. Firing her myself would have made things worse. You enjoy being bossy, don't you? Lucas teased with a playful grin. I laughed for the first time in a while. Maybe a little. Now that Emily was officially out of the picture, some of the pressure lifted. All right, I said quietly. Time to tell the world. It'll probably hit the news tomorrow, Lucas warned. Then people will want interviews. And if she does post that photo, the questions will only get louder. I winced. Sorry, that wasn't exactly comforting, Lucas added quickly. I smiled faintly. It's okay. What do I even say? Hey everyone, I'm gay. Then what? End with an inspirational quote. Lucas reached out, gently taking my hand. Just speak your truth. That's all anyone can ask. Just write what's in your heart. Say what you need to say. It'll be okay, Lucas encouraged gently. I paused, taking in his words, then nodded. You're right. I can do this. Lucas smiled warmly, leaning back on the sofa and switching on the TV. Take your time. I'll be right here. I opened my laptop and pulled up Instagram. I figured I'd start there and share the same message across my other platforms. I chose a photo of a pride flag hanging in one of our office spaces, something subtle yet meaningful, and began to type. Our company has always been inclusive. That's part of why we've had such great partnerships. But now, this message had to be personal. I don't have much time, so I'll keep this brief. This message is for everyone. My colleagues, our partners, and those who follow me for other reasons. I'm gay. Our company supports the LGBTQ+ community proudly, and if that doesn't align with your values, then I respect your decision to walk away. I've hidden this part of myself for too long. I want to live authentically, not just behind the scenes, but in every part of my life. If you have an issue with that, I won't take it personally. I just want others out there to know, it's okay to be yourself. Your worth isn't defined by other people's opinions. Thank you for reading. Alex Woods. I hit post and exhaled the breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Then I shared the same message on my other accounts. I did it, I told Lucas, nerves bubbling up again. He smiled. I'm proud of you. Before I could respond, my phone lit up. Emily. I hesitated, then answered. You think you can just fire me like that? You've messed with the wrong person, Alex. You're going to regret this, she snapped before hanging up. I stared at my phone. Lucas looked just as stunned. Well, Lucas said, taking a breath, it's a good thing you already posted. Moments later, my phone buzzed again. It was a call from one of our media team members. Alex, sorry to bother you, but something's been posted. It's a photo and I think you'll want to see it. Just send me the link, I said calmly. The link arrived almost instantly. I opened it and stared. It was a photo of Lucas and me in the kitchen. Him sitting on the counter, me leaning in to kiss him. The caption read, Turns out Mr. Alex Woods isn't the squeaky clean businessman he pretends to be. Surprise, he's gay. I let out a slow breath, jaw tightening. The tone of the post was petty at best. Still, my heart pounded. I handed the phone to Lucas. He scanned the image and caption, then looked at me. This is ridiculous, Lucas muttered. What have I done? I said quietly, standing and placing my hands on my head. My heart was racing. I hadn't told my family yet. Now they'd find out this way, through a post. Lucas stood up and pulled me into a hug. Alex, you haven't done anything wrong. You told your truth. My dad's going to be furious, I whispered. You're an adult, Lucas said, still holding me. Your dad gave you this company, but it's your company now. You deserve to be yourself, at work, at home, everywhere. He had a way with words. Even though I still felt like the sky was falling, Lucas made it feel just a little less heavy. If your dad has a problem with it, that's on him, Lucas added, pulling me back into the hug. Honestly, I probably overreacted. I tend to be a bit dramatic. But knowing Lucas was here with me helped keep me grounded. Why don't we just take it easy tonight? Lucas suggested. You can deal with everything tomorrow. I hummed in agreement, resting my head on his shoulder, arms wrapped around each other. His embrace was warm and calming. I breathed in quietly, soaking in the moment, when Lucas pulled back slightly and looked at me. His gaze lingered, eyes scanning mine before settling on my lips. I smiled softly, knowing exactly what he was thinking. Lucas POV. Our lips met gently, slowly, comfortably. It wasn't rushed or urgent. Just a quiet moment between us. The kiss deepened slightly, a blend of relief and affection. My hand found its way around Alex's waist as his moved up to my back. We stayed like that, wrapped in one another, letting the chaos fade into the background. For a while it was just us. No drama. No headlines. No fear. Just two people who cared deeply for each other, finally free to show it. That night, after Alex and I had spent time together and he got cleaned up, I asked if I could stay over at his place. He said yes. The next morning, I slowly opened my eyes, expecting to see Alex beside me, but the bed was empty. Confused, I frowned, wondering where he had gone. Still groggy, I stayed under the covers for a while longer, letting my thoughts drift. I gently touched the healing stitches on my stomach. It was still sore from moving around a lot the night before. We hadn't done anything too intense, but even simple things like cuddling and being close seemed to irritate the wound a bit. Eventually, I sat up and climbed out of bed, wearing just my underwear. I walked over to the mirror and ran a hand through my messy hair, attempting to tame it, though not very successfully. Then I spotted something on my neck, a faint mark. A small, surprised laugh escaped my lips. I hadn't had one of those in a while. It wasn't a big deal, but it still caught me off guard. After fixing my hair as best I could, I made my way downstairs. The smell of bacon and eggs wafted through the air as I reached the kitchen. There was Alex, cooking breakfast. Classic. He was shirtless and wearing gray jogging pants. I had to admit, waking up to that sight wasn't exactly the worst way to start a day. I noticed a similar mark on his neck too and bit my lip, smiling to myself. Alex smiled when he saw me and started plating up the food. "I was just about to come wake you," he said as I took a seat at the kitchen island. "I also had your clothes washed." "Well, not me personally, the maid did, but same thing," he added with a playful grin as he handed me my plate. "Thanks," I said, already digging in. "I need to head into the company soon. I can drop you off at home, or you can stay here if you'd rather chill." "Actually," I said between bites, "could you take me with you? I want to stop by and talk to my dad." He nodded in response, focused on his food. Once we finished eating, Alex gave me my freshly cleaned clothes, and we both got dressed and headed out to his company. We chatted on the drive, but when we reached the parking area outside the company building, both of us froze. A large group of reporters and paparazzi were waiting just outside the entrance. "Oh no," Alex muttered under his breath, frozen behind the wheel. It was clear there was no easy way through. Suddenly, his phone rang. He picked it up, and although I couldn't hear the other side, I gathered what the conversation was about. "I know, I'm outside right now. I can't get through. You'll need to get someone to clear them out or find another way," Alex said. After a pause, he added, "Yeah, okay. I'll do that instead." He hung up and turned the car around. "I usually use the front garage through the main car park. It's faster. But we're going around the back instead." "You have a garage here too?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "There's space for 2 cars here. My house only has 8 spots," Alex replied casually, as if that was a completely normal thing. "Oh, so just 10 cars total? Maybe you should get more," I teased, smirking. He grinned. "I was actually thinking about another Audi. Or maybe a Lamborghini." "Wait, you're being sarcastic, aren't you?" I nodded. "Alex, I can barely afford fast food some days, and you're out here considering another luxury car when you already have 10. He laughed, and we continued driving until we reached the back entrance and pulled into the underground garage. The garage was sleek and spotless, with marble white walls and even a flat-screen TV mounted up high. For what reason? No idea. But clearly, when you're this wealthy, you don't need a reason for luxury. We climbed out of the car, and I noticed another Audi parked next to us. I shook my head with a smile. This man had too much money. We took the elevator up to Alex's penthouse. Just as we got inside, there was a knock at the door. Alex sighed and went to answer it. A woman stood on the other side, dressed professionally. I couldn't hear what was said, but I could tell from Alex's expression that something was bothering him. When he returned, he looked a bit flustered. What was that about? I asked as he slumped into the chair at his desk. There's chaos downstairs. Reporters, questions, and I'm not in the mood to deal with any of it. Who thought this was a good idea? You, I think, I said with a small smile, leaning against the desk. Alex let out another sigh and walked over to the sofa, flopping down onto it. I followed him and sat beside him. So, do they want an interview? I asked. Of course they do, he replied, wrapping an arm around me and pulling me close. But they're not getting one. Not yet. Let them wait while I figure things out. I leaned into him, smiling as he rested his cheek against mine. We sat there in silence, enjoying the calm. I'm supposed to be working, Alex mumbled. And I'm supposed to be talking to my dad. But here we are, doing neither. Let's keep it that way for a little longer. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Still snuggled up, I answered the call. So, your boyfriend came out last night? Amy's voice blared through the phone. I know, Amy, I laughed. I was there, remember? While I continued chatting with her, Alex gently pulled away and returned to his desk. I gave him a smile as he started working. So what's happening? Amy asked. Is he going to give an interview or something? Not sure. He definitely doesn't want to right now. Well, just so you know, you're all over the news. One of the top 5 stories this morning. Nothing major's happening in the world right now, so apparently you two are headline-worthy. I sighed and smiled, already bracing myself for the chaos to come. My eyes widened as I grabbed Alex's TV remote. I want to see what they did with the interview I gave them, I said, already flipping through the channels. The news was wrapping up a segment when my name flashed across the screen. The presenters began speaking, and I sat up straighter. They showed a photo of the restaurant I had just stepped out of the night I got attacked. The screen filled with footage of the crime scene while the anchors recounted the story in their own words, closely following what I had told them. What annoyed me, though, was that they reported the man who had stabbed me still hadn't been caught. After the segment ended, I stayed on the couch and continued chatting with Amy on the phone. Once we hung up, I stood and stretched before turning to Alex. Can I come back up here after I see my dad? I asked. Alex was busy typing away on his computer and barely looked up. I don't think you'd enjoy watching me work all day, he said. Isn't there something else you'd rather do? I sighed. Well, I'm not allowed back at work yet. You're working. So is my dad. Amy's in college. I don't feel like going home just to sit alone and watch TV all day. Alex finally looked up, a slight frown creasing his brow. Are you still nervous about going out by yourself? I glanced at the floor. Let's just say getting attacked didn't help me sleep better at night. I've been feeling anxious, so yeah, I am kind of scared. Alex stopped typing. His face softened with concern. What can I do? How do I help? I gave a small smile. Honestly, just being around helps. I'll get through it. I just need some time. He nodded and gave me an encouraging smile. I returned it before heading out toward my dad's office. When I arrived, Dad's eyes widened. Lucas? What are you doing here? I came with Alex and wanted to talk to you, I replied. He looked worried. There are reporters and photographers all over the place looking for Alex. If they see you together, they'll put 2 and 2 together. And can you explain why there's a photo of you and Alex kissing on the internet? I dropped my gaze to the floor. That picture was the last thing I wanted my dad to see. It's a long story. Emily, the woman who used to work for Alex, posted it. She was upset with him, so she used that photo to get back at him. Emily? Emily J? I thought she was one of his closest business partners. Why would she do that? I'm not sure, I replied with a shrug, letting out a sigh. Dad hesitated before speaking again, his expression somber. The invitations for your mom's funeral went out. It's tomorrow. My shoulders sank. Yeah, I know. I'll see you later, I said quietly before leaving his office. It didn't feel real. It was like she had just gone on a long trip, not like she was gone. But that illusion would end tomorrow. On my way back to Alex's place, I stopped at the cafe to get a drink. Even though being in public still made me uneasy, I managed. I ordered a hot chocolate and stood by the window. That's when I saw them, around 15 people, paparazzi and reporters. I stayed calm, knowing that in the photo Emily had posted, my face was turned away. A security guard was holding the crowd back, which helped ease my nerves. Until I saw her. Emily. She locked eyes with me, and I could instantly tell she recognized me. Her mouth moved, and though I couldn't hear her, I saw her say the word, boyfriend. Panic kicked in. Flash after flash lit up the cafe. I turned and bolted, weaving through people until I reached the elevator. I got in just in time, but sharp pain shot through my side as I clutched my stomach. By the time I got to the penthouse, I pushed past a confused receptionist and rushed inside. Lucas. Alex stood up, clearly alarmed. What's going on? Emily's downstairs, I panted. She just told them who I am. Alex moved toward me, but then his expression shifted to panic as he glanced at my shirt. You're bleeding. Everything suddenly felt fuzzy. My legs wobbled. Before I could fall, Alex caught me. Lucas? Are you okay? Can you hear me? I nodded weakly. Yeah. I just got a little dizzy. A woman at the door called out, Should I call an ambulance? No, it's okay, Alex answered quickly. I'll drive him. I don't want to draw more attention. If anyone needs me, tell them to wait unless it's urgent. He helped me into the elevator, then down to his car. When we got to the hospital, they took me in right away. Turned out I had torn my stitches. They patched me up again and told me to be careful, warning that doing this again would delay the healing process. Alex brought me back to his place and insisted I rest on the sofa while he finished work. Luckily, he only needed another hour at the office before he drove me home and stayed with me until my dad returned that evening. He explained everything to Dad, who immediately went into full-on protective mode. That night, I went to bed early. Tomorrow, I'd have to say goodbye to my mom, for real this time. Thanks for listening to today's BL story. If it made your heart skip a beat, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Only here on BL Stories, where love knows no limits.